Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey, this is Craig Garber. When I'm not interviewing world-class guitar players, I'm busy helping clients with their marketing. In fact, since March of 2000, I've helped over 300 clients in 108 different industries all over the world sell everything from $20 books to $5,000 seminar seats and everything in between. I even authored a marketing book called How to Make Maximum Money with Minimum Customers. And now I'm giving away a free marketing strategy session to business owners who qualify. On this call, we'll discuss what's currently working in your business, specific sales and marketing problems you're struggling with, and I'll identify specific strategies you can use to overcome these problems and increase your cash flow. To find out if you qualify and to book your free marketing strategy session with me, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/marketing right now. Again, to book your free marketing strategy session with me, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/marketing right now. Thanks for listening. Now let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and I'm here with one of the top session players in Nashville on acoustic guitar. We're lucky to have Pat McGrath with us. Pat's from California, born in Thousand Oaks, and he's been a full-time studio musician in Nashville for 25 years, and I do mean full-time. This guy is like booked incessantly. He specializes, as I said, in acoustic instruments, particularly guitar, mandolin, banjo, and he's recorded on tons of number one records by people like Carrie Underwood, Lee Brice. He's also played on records by Dolly Parton, Rascal Flatts, Lauren Elena, Jake Owen, Jim Lauderdale, Laurie McKenna, and many more artists. In addition to playing on records, Pat's recorded and continues to record demos with all of the major Nashville songwriters, and for the last couple of years, he's been a featured instrumentalist on a number of episodes of the TV show Nashville, which is cool. Before his session work kept him busy enough to stay in town, Pat toured with Maura O'Connell, Lionel Cartwright, and Stephanie Davis, and she opened Garth Brooks' 1993 tour. Pat performed on television as well, backing up Dolly and the Lynns on Late Night with David Letterman, and playing with Alison Krauss and Union Station on the 1995 PBS special Women in Country Music, which was filmed at the White House. Before moving to Nashville, Pat toured and played local clubs in Southern California and in the beautiful ski areas of Montana, because that is beautiful out there. Pat, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Craig. It's great to be here.
Man, so you've been in Nashville 25 years now. I was curious, what prompted you to move there in the first place, and what were you doing professionally right before you moved?
I was playing clubs and doing a little bit of studio work in California, Ventura County. And it was great, but there was definitely a ceiling. And ever since I knew what session work was, I wanted to do it. It was just, I like the variety, I like the challenge, and it was actually easier to move here than it was to move into LA.
Really? I mean, like to move in to get session work professionally?
Well, in LA, it was so hard to know where the scene was, where here it's the business of the day, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So everybody should move to Nashville, right?
I think everybody...
What's that, Pat? I'm sorry you broke up.
I said I think everybody has.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I read a day doesn't go by where I read or hear people talking online about how, you know, the traffic there is insane and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's growing, but it's still a great place to be for sure.
Once you got to town, how did you wind up getting session work?
I started by doing some touring. There was, you network with people, you go to jams, you go play every opportunity that you could play, you meet people, and then I got on a couple of tours, which helped to kind of, make some money and get some experience, and it was really fun. The travel was great. And
then you just like one person asked you to play on a demo or something like that. How did that work?
Yeah, it's a strange process. It's not you kind of come up with writers that are starting out and they need help and you need help, and you all kind of come up together.
Really cool. And then so it's like literally one thing just led to another, and you did good on this session, and so that guy called you, or his friend called you, or her friend called you.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. It takes a lot of time, but yeah, you're one contact at a time, trying to find new clients. Trying to, people that you met in touring bands. You work with, and you do, you just basically try to play as much as you can and get as much exposure as you can.
Are you working on anything now in particular that's got you excited?
Well, it's funny. I've been doing this thing with a buddy of mine at Sony, Adam Engelhardt. He put a little vocal group together, and it's me, Glenn Duncan, and Dave Rowe. And it's called A Mighty Blue. And it's a really cool, kind of folky vocal band. And both Dave and Glenn are studio vets that have been around for a long time. But it's fun to do something live, and that's sort of been something that's been missing in my world for a long time. I've been... ever since my daughter was born 17 years ago, I haven't really done any road work at all. But
by design, I'm to stay home with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
But it's just, I miss it. I miss the live thing. And so I'm hoping this turns into a regular thing where, you can have that balance.
That's nice, man. Yeah, Dave is a bass player, I think, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Glenn plays everything. He's, a fiddle player, mandolin, but they're both really good singers too. And that's really a fun thing, just that 3-part vocal harmony.
Do you normally do vocals? Like, do you do vocals in the studio?
I do, but there's a really limited amount of people that know about it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was shocked to hear that. I was like, oh, I didn't know, because it doesn't even say anything in any of your bio or anything.
No, I'm keeping it under wraps.
I'm saving it for the golden egg, huh?
I really do like to sing, though. It's fun.
What kind of music, like, if you have your preference to pick, what do you like playing and singing?
That's I think one of the reasons why I was attracted to studio work so much is that I like everything. I like to play everything. I've never been, I play a lot of acoustic stuff, but I feel like I'm really a visitor in like a bluegrass camp or in a jazz camp or, you can make it your life's work to really be a virtuoso in one of those areas. But I just like everything. So, it's really hard to say, basically pop music,
It's interesting. All of the A-list session guys like you, when I ask that question, that's almost universally their answer. They like everything.
Yeah, it'd be hard for me to really commit to one thing for sure.
Sure. You've been involved in like so many different projects. I was wondering if you could pick like, what are your top 3 musical experiences, like, or which ones left you feeling either most satisfied or proudest of that achievement, or just, something that had meaning for you?
Yeah, the gig at the White House with Alison was really special. It was, I was subbing for Ron Block, and their music is just so great. And of course the setting at the White House was pretty hard to beat. My time with Maura O'Connell was really great. The music was always great. The company was great. And really almost any session, it's so fun to play with the guys in this community. They kick you in the butt, and it's just really a pleasure. So, yeah.
I have two questions for you. First question is a silly one, but I got to ask it. Man, how is the food at the White House?
It was good.
But like, was it like the best food you ever had? Or was just like good catered, like average good catered food?
It was average good catering food. But
Yeah.
One cool thing was after the show, there were three artists. It was Susie Boggess, Allison, and Kathy Mattea, and all their bands. At the end of the show, it was with Bill Clinton was the president at the time. He invited us up to the living quarters to give us a little tour of the White House, and so
That's cool.
that was really, really fun.
That is cool. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is it was interesting when you said that about the sessions. You were at that session. That's where we met that night when I was up
Right.
in Nashville back in October or November, I think it was. You know what I thought was really weird about that? And I guess this depends on who the writer is. There were times there where they would say, well, play this lick or play that lick. And then they would deliberate over which one sounded better or what's a better lick. And it seemed odd to me because if I had a group of you guys at my disposal, which, by the way, if anybody's listening to this and thinking of making a demo, go do it in Nashville. You will it is literally musically the best value you will ever get, because you go in there and if I said for less than $1,000, would I be accurate, Pat?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so for less than $1,000, you go in there, and even if your song sounds like shit, you'll come out with something that sounds great. It's just a phenomenal process. But anyway, that being said, I was shocked that those guys were trying to make those decisions on their own, because if it was me and I had you guys, I'd say, hey man, what do you think?
We do get that too, for sure. And there's a lot of interpretation and, especially in the electric guitar guys, they're coming up with hooks left and right. And a lot of that time, a lot of that is totally on the spot. So yeah, I mean, they do ask us a lot. They'll, for something to come up with for something, or sometimes they have a specific thing in mind. And, one of the crazy challenges sometimes is that, they may have some bizarre lick that they've sat in their living room and got down, but maybe they still can't quite articulate it. And then you have to recreate it, in a minute and a half. So it can be a little nerve wracking, but, yeah, sometimes they have a real clear idea. Sometimes they just want you to come up with something.
Yeah, to me, I was just surprised I didn't go more. And it's not the same thing, but it'd be like a roofer coming over to the house and me telling the roofer, well, I really think you need different, cement over there. I would have not, and I'm not that guy. I'm not that expert. So I always think it's best to let the experts, but I guess like you said, depends on the different levels.
Yeah. And some writers, are fantastic players.
Yes.
They have, I see some guys and I go, oh boy, here comes something that I'm probably going to have to learn. So yeah, it works. There's all different kinds of variety for sure.
Originally, you're from Thousand Oaks, and I looked that up on the map because I'm an East Coast guy. I don't know anything about California. That's on the northwest suburb of Los Angeles County?
Yes. Yeah, just outside of the San Fernando Valley.
Okay, what was growing up for you there? What was your childhood like?
It was great. It was at the time, it's a really popular place now, real busy. But at the time it was, orange groves, beautiful Southern California, great weather, 30 minutes from the beach. It was pretty great.
Yeah, it sounds pretty great, man. Just listening to that.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. You have a big family, brothers or sisters?
I have a brother and two sisters.
What kind of work did your mom and dad do?
My mom was a nurse, and my dad was a clerk.
How did guitar come into your life for you, and how did acoustic over electric?
Well, it's funny, I play both, but as I moved here, it became more and more specialized, and I was set up better for instrument-wise to play acoustic. But my brother is a musician. He's 10 years older, and he was like, kind of got me started. He bought my first guitar for me, and he was really into the folk era, late 60s. And we shared a room together, so it was around me all the time, and so we started playing together really early on. And there's a great portability about acoustic instruments. It's like you can take an acoustic guitar anywhere, or a uke, or a mandolin, and it's great. You don't have to have an amplifier and everything. But I love to play electric guitar too. It's rare.
Do you ever get called in for sessions for electric work?
I do. There's probably a handful of guys that know me as an electric player too, but it's got to be 98% acoustic stuff.
That's really cool. I didn't realize you, Pat. All these things are turning up today, so everybody in Nashville is going to find out that you play electric.
Oh my gosh!
And that you sing.
And that's right.
Now you got to book. Everybody listen to this, start booking Pat like crazily with electric assignments and vocals.
Well, I don't know if you know, Craig, but there's a lack of electric guitar players here in Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just slipping in at the right time. Good for you. So when you came here, you'd been playing professionally over in California area. What were some of the bigger surprises for you, if any, when you first started playing in Nashville in the session arena, like professional surprises, if there are any?
Surprises. I guess I was just really impressed with the musicality, and it's to me, it's a lot like graduate school. For me, it was playing in Thousand Oaks, and there's some great players in Ventura County and Santa Barbara and of course LA, but when I got out here, it was like, meeting other people that were moved here specifically for music. And so they had a lot of drive and a lot of, experience. And I was just, I guess, really right off the top, it was the drummers. I could not believe how great the drummers were here and how easy it was to play with everybody. And that's really what's kept me here. I mean, I love Montana. I love California, but the musicians here are just amazing.
Yeah, that they are. Yeah, it's got to be weird to be around like so many great people.
It is. It's humbling. It's inspiring. It's really great to be a part of it.
Have there been any obstacles that you've had to overcome throughout your career, whether it's personal or music related, business related?
You mean besides the bad attitude?
You're like one of the most easygoing people I've ever spoken to in my life. That's quite funny.
Not really obstacles per se. I mean, there's a lot of competition, but really, for the most part, I mean, it's really, I think, just makes everybody better. Sometimes making a living, especially early on, it's hard. It takes a long time to build up your clients and or to find a gig that you are inspired by. So just the natural stuff, but no real obstacles, I don't think.
So for you, everything that happened pretty much happened very organically and naturally, and there was no, the universe didn't resist; it supported what you were doing. Yeah,
pretty much. It just took a long time. I mean, in my mind, but I had it. Had some friends that moved out here and then quickly moved back to California, and I learned a lot from that because they came out expecting to make a big splash, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
My approach was more like graduate school. You go. I wanted to come out here to learn. I wanted to come out to mainly be a studio player, but I wanted to learn how to write songs better, how to produce, and so I think with that attitude really helped. Not to have the expectations like I was going to come in with both guns slinging and everybody was going to, love it.
It's interesting when you made a comment about it. For some people they don't feel it happened, or maybe for you said it didn't happen as quick as you'd. No, for other people, it didn't happen as quick as they would like. I don't know anybody, with rare exception, like in any profession, where they said, "Man, I got successful too quick." I think that's just like the nature of doing anything at a high level. It doesn't happen quick, period.
Yeah, I think that's right. With an exception of there are some artists that I work with who have gone from, the very beginning stages to all of a sudden, playing huge stages, and not having that experience to stand on, I think is really a disadvantage, and you see them grow up in front of millions of people. But yeah, any real thing like this, I think just takes a long time. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, in music and business and anything, it's just, there's no, we all pay tuition, it just doesn't happen. It happens over time, not overnight. If you've been doing this a while, if you could look back and give your younger self, young Pat McGrath, advice, what advice might you have given yourself that you think you would have benefited from?
I think, I could have taken more chances. Although moving out here was a pretty big risk. But I'm not sure. It seems like it's easier to look back and think that, maybe you could trust your instincts more at different times, but, it happened the way it was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Things that they happen when they're supposed to, for sure, man. Gear-wise, I'm not a tremendous whiz with acoustic guitars, but do you want to talk maybe about acoustic and electric? What are your top 2 or 3 go-to guitars right now?
Yeah. I have a 66 Martin D28 that is just it's just a great guitar, and it works for almost everything. I have another Martin that's 69 D35 that's really versatile. I have a 56 J45 Gibson that I just love. And I'm not a guy that has 50 guitars. I probably have 20 instruments.
That's really reasonable.
Yeah, if I don't play it, I don't have a need for, guitars all around me. If I don't use it, I usually sell it for something that I'm going to use, because I don't think it's good for guitars to sit around too. I think they're meant to be played, and so yeah, but those are the main ones for sure.
Now with acoustic guitars, it's not like so when you do play out, do you take those guitars with you, or one of them with you? Because what I'm thinking of is on the electric side, if a guy's got a 66 Les Paul or a 59 Les Paul, he doesn't take that out, or she doesn't take that out. Usually they'll take out another one. But with acoustic, it's kind of different. You can't really get something that's going to sound really close to that, or can you?
If I'm doing something locally, my D28 has a Baggs pickup and a Joe Mills mic. Mm-hmm. and I run it through a rain unit that splits the signal, or that takes both signals and then combines them. If I'm doing something locally out, live, I'll use that. Although I did use that with Maura, and we would fly, mostly in the Northwest or the Northeast. But I have if I'm doing like a rhythm section in a band kind of a thing, and I need to fly somewhere, I've got this old Takamine with the 2-band EQ. That's a great, just a plug in and go kind of a guitar. And it's actually really valuable to me, but it's not a real expensive instrument.
Those sound great, those Takaminis, though.
It's amazing. That pickup system, the 2-band especially, is just really great.
Are there any interesting stories behind maybe how you got any of your guitars?
Well, both Martins are from were owned by my father-in-law.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. He's actually pretty cool. He was a star in the 50s. His name is Jimmy Rogers. He's the Jimmy Rogers. There's 3 Jimmy Rogers. There's the singing brakeman, father of country music, and there's a blues guy, Jimmy Rogers, and then there's my father-in-law, who was in the 50s and 60s. He had Honeycomb, Kisses Sweeter Than Wine,
That's really cool.
Yeah. But he gave me both of those guitars, and they're just great.
Man, that's really special.
Yeah, it's really cool. I have a little Epiphone too. That's it's a Cortez, is what the body style, and real sweet. So yeah, I've done well with instruments from the families for sure.
Yeah, well, I guess that made it easier. Even though you weren't touring, so it was still easier. But like on your wife understanding, the demands of being a musician, that her dad was a musician, I'm assuming.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, that would be a good like musician's website. You gather a bunch of, like a dating website. You gather a bunch of women whose dads were musicians. That'd be a good pool of women to date for musicians.
It could work both ways, though. They could have some kind of negative thing about their dad being gone all the time. So I don't know.
Get some residual issues beyond the normal residual issues we all have.
Exactly.
Anybody who influenced your playing that people might be surprised to hear?
Well, I love. There's so many great guitar players. Who was a mentor of mine, and who I know that you've had on as a guest, is Pat Flynn.
Oh, yeah.
We're from the same town, and he dated my sister.
Oh my God, how funny is that?
Yeah, and he was a huge influence in the beginning. He's about 8 years older, but we would sit in my bedroom and just informally play and read things and read music together and play duets and learn songs, and it just recently, or I think it was yesterday, we all heard that Randy Scruggs had just died, which is a really sad thing. But Pat and I would take, there was a record that Randy did with his dad, with Earl Scruggs Review. And I remember, slowing the records down to 16 and taping the song with a cassette, and it'd be an octave lower, and learning licks, and doing that kind of stuff with Pat for, that was just one of the things that we did.
That's really, Pat's a really cool guy. Very bright guy, man. That guy is super intelligent.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I had a good conversation with him. Didn't understand a lot of what he was talking about, but I had a good conversation with him. He's a very smart guy, man. Do you remember the first CD or I shouldn't say CD, the first record you got?
The first record I remember having, and I don't know if I bought it myself or my mom bought it or something, was Sgt. Pepper.
Oh, cool.
and just wore it out. And I just remember being totally in awe and just not having, just being completely in awe. Soon after that, in the California scene, I got into the Eagles and Jackson Browne and James Taylor. All that stuff was happening just, like 45 minutes away. So I just felt like that was kind of an organic thing too.
Man, you go back, I listened to those first few Jackson Browne albums, man. There's not a bad song on there.
No, it's so good.
It's just such good music, man. Such, the writing, the depth of the lyrics, the everything was great about that, man.
And his players, I mean, the guys on the records, especially after I think the second one or so, it was that section, of Lee Sklar and Russ Kunkel and Danny Korchmar and that, from reading the backs of those records and guys like Dan Dugmore, who's here in Nashville. Those are the guys that really inspired me I thought that was the life, to play on great records like that and then tour with them too, and then come back and play on more records. That whole, Linda Ronstadt era. It was great.
So a lot of that was inspirational to you?
It really was, when we see all the session movies out there, like the Wrecking Crew and the
Hired Guns.
Yeah. My era of guys, it was that section, it was those guys and guys like Larry Carlton and Lee Ritenour and it's just, once I figured that it just seemed like the best gig out there because you didn't have to travel, and so you could live in one place, play different kinds of music all the time, and play at a really high level. So it's, but those were the guys that really, that I looked up to.
So you were aware that there was session guys from a young age?
I was. It was through Pat. Pat had started doing sessions in L.A. And had taken me to a couple of them really early on, and I was, just totally in awe. And I kind of knew pretty early that's what I wanted to do, or at least I would try.
That's great, man. I give you credit for that. That's to have that, wisdom at a young age. That's ahead of the curve, I think.
Well, that, and I could absolutely do nothing else. So I had
you had the passion, but
yeah.
Desert Island Discs, Pat. If I had to, but let me make it easier, just for this moment, and doesn't need to be in any particular order. Top 3.
I have I recently got a record player and kind of been buying up old vinyl that I used to have a long time ago. There's a Dave Brubeck record called Dave Digs Disney, where his quartet is doing all Disney songs. And
that's interesting.
I absolutely love it. Another one, completely different. There's a pop artist named Corinne Bailey Rae that I love and I put on all the time.
What's the name?
Corinne Bailey Rae.
Okay, interesting. I never heard of her.
Random. I'm looking at records around me. I've got Ry Cooder, Bop to Your Drop. That could make the desert. I've been, just recently bought the Crosby, Stills and Nash. It's just great to hear all that stuff again on vinyl. I just bought Asia again. I mean, it's great too, and just to be, there's something about having a record and putting the needle on, and then it lasts 20 minutes, and you're engaged again. You got to go back and you got to flip it, and you got to, okay, what am I going to listen to now? It's much more interactive.
Well, I find you're much more emotionally invested, you have to make more of an effort. And like now, I'll be honest with you, I have songs that I love. I don't know the names of them. That never happened when I listen to vinyl.
No, it's true.
I'll know, okay, I need the third song on this album, but I don't know the name of it. And I hate that about this process.
Yeah. It's great to get back to buying records, and it becomes a special event too, where you're just all excited to get home and put it on.
Yeah. Just like the old days, man.
Right.
For sure. Hey, what's something that you've learned about yourself throughout this journey?
I think, which may run, finding things out about yourself. I like people, and it's not hard for me to be interested and I think people are interesting, and it's a very much people business. I meet a lot of people. I mean, there's some people that I see once a year. There's some people I see, 3 or 4 times a year. And then I meet a bunch of people, that will come into town and they record their record and I never see them again, but I really enjoy that process. I like, hearing the stories, hearing where they're from, and, being a part of their projects. You really get, it's a really cool little sideline that I never anticipated, with all of this. I really, from the outside, I really thought it was really all about music, but there's really a lot about people too, and about relationships and music is such a great, disarming kind of thing. People are really, they're passionate about their music. And so, when you come in and add things to it and help them with it, it's, you're immediately their good friend, and that's a pretty great thing.
Were you always like that? Were you always like sociable or like being around people or talking to people?
I think so. It's the same like in playing clubs. I guess, it's a great way to meet people, playing music. People are drawn to it. It immediately puts all the boundaries down. But yeah, that's kind of been a nice benefit that I really didn't anticipate.
Very cool. Something, Pat, or someone you miss from your childhood?
My hairline.
Wait, did I say? Oh, something. Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. Maybe your hairline's with my hairline, and we could find them both.
Probably somewhere together. Living in the South, I definitely miss the mountains, and I miss the ocean for sure.
Yeah, that's right. I would imagine that.
Nashville's is, as far as places go, it's really a beautiful place. But when you come from those two, it's hard to. I'm staring at my desktop of my computer, and it's a picture of the beach. I lived in Ventura for a good long time too, just 5 blocks from the beach, and it was just amazing. But there just wasn't the work there. So,
but wait a minute, there's tons of mountains in Nashville, no?
I'm not in Nashville. There's the Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee, but it's a different thing. It's just the West is its own thing,
Yeah, it's majestic out west, the mountains there.
Yeah,
they really are. But I mean, like compared to Florida, where it's complete, the peak is like maybe 6 feet off the ground or something like that.
Yeah, and it's really around here. It's like rolling hills, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Stays green all the time, but yeah, you can't have it all.
I'll tell you what, man, there was this stretch when you come in, I drove up the last time. We're flying up this time, but I drove up and there's this stretch when you go from East Tennessee towards Nashville and you go down this really steep, really steep grade. In fact, there's a notice there about grade is steep. Do you know what I'm talking about, that area?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Man, I was scared shitless when I was doing that. It was like, because I'm not used to that here. Everything is so flat here.
Oh, really?
Oh, Florida is the flattest. It's swampland, and it's completely flat. And it was really like, holy crap. I had to make sure that, and then it started raining when I was there. I'm like, oh man. So I have a truck. So I'm like, whoof, I mean, it was fine and nothing happened, but it was just like, wow, these grades was like the Disney World, what do you call it, roller coaster or something.
Right.
If you didn't become a professional musician, Pat, what do you think you would have done instead?
I like to cook.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I could see like, going to culinary school and being a cook in some resort or something like that. I think that could be really fun. I like to be outside a lot too. I mean, early on I was, thinking of trying to do something in forestry but I think it would probably be cooking.
What do you like to cook? That's really cool.
Pretty much anything. I'm always trying to get new recipes. I got a slow cooker a while back, and I just love that. It's so practical, I mean, we have to eat every day.
Yeah.
And, why not make it great?
There's a lot of guitar players I've spoken to who like cooking, oddly enough. Do you know a younger guy, Justin Butler?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's big time into it.
Huh.
Most important person in your life?
Ever?
Your call.
Okay. Probably my mom. Just, bedrock of the family. Totally supportive. She, growing up wouldn't, of course, the classic thing would always want you to have something to fall back on. And to play music was so foreign to her, but she, knew, how much I loved it and was supportive, and paid for lessons so yeah, I pretty much crossed the board.
That's nice. Good to hear that. What's the most important thing she taught you?
I think probably to be good to people. They were both real. Both my mom and dad were real. Growing up, we had a lot of people that would show up at the house. They're kind of like strays, that would need help for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, or it wasn't that unusual to show up at the dinner table and there'd be somebody that I had never seen before. So probably that, just, have a heart for people.
That's very nice, man.
Dogs,
Very nice. Strongest personal quality. What's your strongest personal quality?
Man, I feel like you probably have to ask somebody else. I really don't know.
What do you think it is, if you did know?
I guess caring about people, about Yeah, that's a hard one. I guess somebody else would have to answer it.
Fair enough. Best thing that's ever happened to you?
It's my daughter being born.
That's not. And how old is she?
She's 17.
So you're through the woods, right?
Well, I can see the other side.
Yeah, good for you, man. My daughter just turned 18, and it's like so much nicer now.
Yeah, she's amazing.
It's a tough, raising daughters is tough. At least it was for me, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't had a son, so I don't have anything to compare it to, but...
Well, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and my daughter was probably tougher than the 2 sons combined times two. Yeah.
Wow.
It's tough. Yeah. Well, I wasn't used to little girls, the mood changes and stuff. I didn't literally understand it. And then Ann sat me down. My wife said, she goes, look, you have to look at her like there's something wrong with her. And, but when she said that, I'm like, okay. And I wasn't upset anymore because I was looking at her like there was something wrong. So now I had empathy instead of like frustration, and it fixed everything. It really did. I wasn't happy about the like the mouth and stuff, but I was like, I felt sorry for her instead of like being aggravated. So it whatever she said worked,
Right. That's good.
And I'm sure she looks at me like there's something wrong with me. So it's probably a fair trade,
Mutual.
Yeah. Biggest business or personal win, Pat?
It's not easy for me to appreciate getting to play music pretty much every day. I think, it's almost every time when I open up a case, and I'm about to work, it's the same thing that I did when I was 12 years old, that I feel pretty lucky. And so I think that, that I get to do this, and I'm by no means, I mean, you make sacrifices as far as, could I have made more money doing something else? Could I have, had a different life? But it's pretty great. And I think as I get older too, I appreciate that more and more, becoming more and more grateful, just to be able to do something that I've loved doing since I was, 11 and 12 years old.
That's great. And that is something to be real grateful for. And I'm happy to hear that. Ever had a specific experience that either changed your life or altered the way you think about things?
Maybe not a specific, like once kind of thing, but I think it's, just getting back to being grateful. You see so many people, struggling with health or struggling, there's a number of our brothers and players that are, dealing with cancer and have, some other, major life struggle. And it just helps you really appreciate, all the things that are important.
What's the biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years? And how much of this change was deliberate and intentional on your part, and how much has been just a part of aging?
I think, not to hammer the same theme, but being grateful, and I think that I think it was a really pretty much a natural thing, except that, we do have choices, how to interpret and how we're going to look at all this. But there's a lot of guys, that I don't see as often. And that's the nature of the business. There's new guys coming up all the time. There's, guys getting out of it for one reason or another. So I appreciate, I was talking with a buddy last night on a session, and we were, just talking about that, not having seen, certain guys. And, but when we do get together, it's really great. It's just, you just appreciate it more, you just feel like, man, this just isn't going to be going on all the time. You really have to take advantage and be present and appreciate.
Thank you. And I just want to tell you, Pat McGrath is one of the top first call guys in Nashville. He's a very understated guy, and clearly not a guy who bangs on his own chest, but he's a very in-demand acoustic player. So I'm real grateful myself that you took the time to come here. And you mentioned about A Mighty Blue. Is there any stuff of that online where people could see you, or is there any of that coming out with you, Dave, and I forgot the other fella?
It's Dave Rowe and Glenn Duncan. It's, we have a little 12-song CD that will probably come out, pretty soon. How's that for marketing? It's probably going to come out pretty soon. And we're doing some more things with it too. We got working on a Christmas thing with it, and but hopefully it won't be too long.
Well, good. Let me fix this. Go to Google Alerts and set up an alert for A Mighty Blue, and then check out Pat's record with Dave Rowe and Glenn Duncan when it comes out. They're going to be doing some singing, and they're all three of them. Well, I don't know Glenn, but I know Dave and Pat, first call session guys. So this is bound to be good. I appreciate your time, Pat. I can't thank you enough. I really enjoyed it. You're a super easygoing guy to talk with, and I can see why everybody likes you so much.
Thanks, Craig. It's been fun for me too.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Thanks so much again to Pat McGrath for spending time with us. I really appreciate it. Check him out online, and you're not a lot online. I did look for you. You're like the secret weapon, Pat.
I have been a little stealthy, but that's kind of, it's a different world. There's album credits and things like that aren't such a thing anymore.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, everybody, look for Pat McGrath online and check him out in Mighty Blue. It'll be coming out soon. Set a Google alert for it and listen to it, and hook up, find him on social media if you can, and let him know how good it is. Go to everyonelovesguitar.com, sign up to get notified about future episodes, get on our newsletter list, and get some early product announcements and discounts. And remember, most importantly, happiness is a choice, so make some good choices. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.